Hello everyone, happy Wednesday. Welcome back to The Attic. Excited to talk to Tony Hale today, who's just a phenomenal performer and a really funny guy. He's got a lot going on. He's been in a lot of projects that you probably know of. Good to see everybody back here. Excited to laugh today, share some smiles, and talk to Tony about all of these projects he's been involved in and all of the smiles he's brought us over the years. So let's bring him in now.
Hey!
Howdy!
Dude, this is my second time doing Insta Live, and I'm like, I'm gonna screw it up. Did I do it right?
I watched your, I have to turn you up. I watched your Insta Live with Julia.
Oh man, wasn't that fun? How hilarious was she would walk around the phone and just around the house just cussing because she was so pissed off she couldn't do it.
And there's like 1,000 people in the comments trying to tell her what to do, right? She's like, I'm gonna get my
what the hell? The whole time. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for joining us in the attic.
Oh, this is so cool. I'm telling you, I used to kind of poo-poo technology before this whole situation, be like, it's like, it's distracting and it's isolating everybody. I've done a 180. It's connected everybody. The fact that we can even do this is amazing.
Yeah, and you know what? This is the whole goal of just doing this, right? Is to help people feel a little bit closer together and not feel as isolated and alone. And
right?
It's great.
How are you doing?
I'm great. The sun is shining finally.
Are you in DC?
No, we're in South Bend.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, we're here. But like counting our blessings, I check in with my friends all the time. Friends with kids. Yeah. Or friends who like live in New York in a studio apartment, like with their boyfriend. Like, I don't know if I could do that.
That's really, 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 really tough. My wife and I, we've been here in Los Angeles, and it's been hard, but we have a 14-year-old, and the poor thing, like these kids, like she had a musical she was in at school that got canceled, and not seeing her friends, and
oh no.
Camps are canceled. It's just like these kids, man. They're going through a lot, and the kids that are graduating. Oh, my heart just breaks for them. That's so tough.
What musical is she in, or was she in?
She was going to be in Anything Goes.
Stop.
Yeah, she was Reno. It was really, and she was just like. But Mr. Mead, the teacher, did this great thing where he had all the kids sing their parts, and he's going to cut it together so everybody can sing it and stuff like that, so everybody can hear it, which is great.
I do love technology for that reason, that teachers are figuring out ways to honor their students.
Totally.
It does suck. Peter and I were talking about this the other day. Like, when you're in high school, like senior year is such a big deal, right? Oh
my God, such a big deal. I was talking to a class the other day about something, and it was just the discouragement, and also just kind of giving them the permission to be like, this is really, really frustrating. But at the same time, trying to remember, this is a small slice in the story of your life. It's a very small chapter, even though it feels very overwhelming, just to kind of remember that there's a whole story that's about to come, But it's hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm glad that we get to spend some time together. I saw you briefly in LA. We went right from the Kimmel show. Peter had you on the show.
Yeah.
When he was hosting, and we went right home because the quarantine started.
And you guys were so great, because let me tell you right now, hosting. I've never done that. I've never hosted a show or taken a place of a host, and Pete jumping in and doing that. That is not easy. That's not easy. And also, it was the first night there was no audience. So it was like you had no energy, or he had no energy to feed off of, and so that was tough. But he just
like 10 of us in the audience, like,
and you guys were the best audience.
There.
You were like, just making the loudest laughs. It's exactly what we needed.
I've been listening to this joke all day in rehearsal. I love it.
But it was not easy. But you guys did great. It was great. Did you have fun?
It was really fun, and I'm so glad that you could join us. We're actually rewatching Veep.
Sure.
We just finished season 3 last night, and it's like we started watching that Hillary documentary, and we're like, it's too close to home. But like Veep is like enough humor.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's so true. I mean, you must have had a blast on that show.
I did, and I was. You know what the thing is, like, I think I mentioned this on the show. I did mention this on the show with Pete. Just it was nice to have a political outlet to laugh at, guilt-free. Yeah. Because sometimes I watch the news and I want to laugh at how some of the stuff that's said and how crazy it is, and I'm like, I can't laugh at this. I can't laugh at this. And Veep gave me that outlet to laugh.
Yeah.
And I just adored those people. And the storylines the storylines had to get crazier and crazier because politics kept getting crazy,
We were just talking about it because, she's sworn in as president, and I turned to Peter and was like, it's just like, this isn't funny anymore the way it used to be funny because our president is so bad and so embarrassing for the country, right? And but I just love the scene where you give her the squeaky shoes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And he was just like handing him to her like Cinderella, just like, here's your shoes, thinking like this is the gift from just like this. She's just gonna adore me after this. Cut to, she's walking down the halls and they're the loudest shoes ever and completely ruined her experience. So Gary just, felt tremendous shame, as he did every day of that show.
Gary's just such a good character, and I was on the campaign trail, obviously, with and Emily, and a lot of people would ask her like what she does for the campaign, and she would say like, I'm Chasten's Gary. But Emily was like actually like very pivotal in my team, very small team. But yeah. I always felt so awkward having a person like follow me around, like with Kleenex and hand sanitizer and.
Yeah, I think I also mentioned this with Pete on the show. Is I'm curious how, I don't even remember what he said, but the fact that it's kind of a very Devil's Wears Prada moment. You remember that moment where Anne Hathaway is whispering to Meryl Streep's character about who's coming up or who's at the party? Right. And so I had to do that with Selena a lot. And in my head, I always thought, damn, like that's got to be so awkward for the person approaching that person to be having their name whispered in the ear, like, yeah, this is Tony, he did it. And then them having, it's like, I would know, like, I know you're faking it. I know you don't know who I am.
Yeah.
It's just an odd energy to walk through.
I see Emily's in the comments. Also, Katie Kirk's here, and she wants you to notice her. But
oh, hey, Katie. That's so nice. Wow.
Yeah, so many people love you. Emily's in the comments. And
hey, Emily.
And there were so many times, we'd be in like 4 states a day. We'd be up for 20 hours. You'd be going to all of these events, and we'd like, just before we get out of the car, she would be like, Tom, Diane, Eric. And then I'd be like, James, like Tom, Diane. Yes. And then inevitably you'd get into this building and be like, I really want to thank our hosts. Thank you so much for opening up your home.
I just want to thank you to the human beings who are standing in front of me with brown hair. You'd have to, because I'd be very, Emily, like, how do you get that? How do you digest that kind of memory, that knowledge to remember that stuff? Yeah. Because I want a Gary. I completely, I'm great with faces, but somebody.
Oh, there we go.
Trying to call me. Sorry, I should turn that off, right? Okay, is there a way to turn that if somebody calls in?
Whatever.
Okay, I don't know. I don't even know how to do that, so it might happen again.
So what were, one, were there any fun things in the bag during filming?
Well, Gary would be very ashamed by my bag if he knew, because mine had like water bottles and old script pages and just gum. And it was very sad. But, Gary, he had sewn leather pockets in to fit every single item. He probably spent, I always imagine Gary going home at night and putting a recorder in front of him with Selena's voice yelling stuff at him, and just to see how fast he could pull the stuff out of his bag just to break his record every night. Because God forbid he screws up the next day. He worshipped her. She was everything to him.
I loved it. I was always impressed with Emily on the trail. And Emily's in a wheelchair, and so she had this pouch underneath her wheelchair. And she, like, between her bag and her wheelchair, be like, do you have that thing that and just like the way she would like procure like 10.
That's amazing. I'm curious, did she the night before, did she ever talk about her process, like the night before just studying and kind of going over exactly who's going to be the next day? And did she have any tricks of remembering names?
I don't know. I mean, I should totally have Emily on again and ask her all these questions.
Would love to know.
Comment to like, how fast could I find a wisp? Do you know those like? Do you know what wisps are?
Like stuff you cook with?
No, they're like with a P. I don't know.
Oh, that's a whisk. I just said a whisk, by the way. Just FYI, I just said a whisk.
Yeah. Well, you could try. It'd be very hard.
There you go. I cook with a whisk.
But every time you like go into an event, like you got to freshen up. So it was just like. And when she pulled out this bag, it was like so expertly crafted. It was just incredible.
I bet she loved the Container Store. Like just that. It's just people who organize, they just like love it. It's just heaven.
And it's always a little like off-putting because you're like, I'm a slob. Like, look at all the things I could be using to organize my life.
Totally. Oh, is that your puppy?
Yeah, that's Buddy. He's doing something down there. I put a roast in the crock pot.
Good for you, man.
And Buddy's just been staring at it. He sits in the kitchen and he's just been staring at the crock pot.
Are you guys cooking a lot?
Oh yeah, like every day.
Do you swap? Like we try to do like, I'll have one night, she'll have another, but it's like, my night's like, Trader Joe's chicken sausages. But I'm trying to get better about finding recipes and stuff.
No, I cook and Pete does the dishes, and I'm happier. I hate doing the dishes.
Yeah, it sucks. What's your go-to recipe that it's like always a winner, it's not difficult, and you can just knock it out?
Oh man, we eat a lot of salmon. So
okay.
It's like one pan, salmon, Brussels sprouts, potatoes. That's it, you know.
Wow, you guys are on the nutrition train. Good for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's a good. Pete's been making me work out a lot, and I'm thankful for him because I have no motivation to do that. But
that's hard.
My body hurts so much, so you have to like.
Yeah, that reminded me of a story. When I was a kid, I was on the swim team, and I didn't like sports. I wasn't a very athletic kid, and I was in the swim team, and I was swimming. And I just stopped in the middle of the meet, and everybody's swimming beside me. And my dad looked at me, and he goes, "Keep going." And I looked at him, and I said, "Why? I'm exhausted." Why would I keep doing this? My body hurts. I want to stop. Anyways.
Exactly. I have to say, I love your hair. Did you cut it?
Thank you. I cut it myself. I put some razors. I got a razor and I did the sides, and then I watched a YouTube. By the way, I don't have that much, but I watched a YouTube video of like you lift the hair and then you do the ends.
That's incredible.
And this is the product. Thank you for noticing, Chasten. I appreciate it.
Because I feel like you and I sort of have similar hair patterns, and
mine just goes like this.
Yeah.
All the way.
Yeah.
Looks great. Do you cut yourself? Do you cut your own?
I did, but I can't really figure out how to like blend it. So as long as we're just facing the camera like this.
Oh,
right?
100%. I'm not showing you the back. I'm not showing you the monk spot in the back. We're not doing that.
I did ask Peter for help trimming the back, and then he was like, I don't know if that works. Like, who is looking? You know?
Wait, does he help you?
Just with the back. I did the sides. It's already growing out again. Like, I think we did that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, I actually, there's so many things once this kind of season is over that I really take for granted. Like, having somebody kind of look at all sides of your head so that you're not missing a spot.
I definitely miss my hairdresser very much. Not only for, a good haircut, but for the conversation.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
So you have this show out right now, Archibald's Next.
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about it. And why did you decide to do this show? I love it.
Oh, that's so nice. Okay, so years ago, by the way, I could talk about this show forever. So just stop me when I'm babbling.
You do your thing. There's no agenda here. We could talk.
I cut to 5 hours later, and you're like, I have to go to bed, Tony. So years ago, in 2003, when I did Arrested Development. That was like my big thing. Getting a sitcom was like my big thing. And I got the show, and I hear it was one of the best casts, so well written, all this kind of stuff. And I still found myself, it didn't satisfy the way I thought it was going to satisfy me. And it really scared me. And I realized after the fact, it's because most of my life I had been looking ahead at this big thing and missing where I was. And so the show is about this little chicken, the book is about this little chicken named Archibald who gets a card in the mail that says, your big thing is here. And he's like, where? And he goes on all these great adventures, but every time he's on an adventure, he's like, I got to get to my next big thing. And then this bee comes along, and the bee's like, you got to just be, man. You got to just be. And then he realizes the card is right, that his big thing is right here. Like, my big thing is talking to you right now. That's my big thing. And so after doing the book, it was such a great experience. And I really woke up. I started doing some therapy and just kind of trying to practice being present and not so much living in my head and anxiety and stuff. And then my buddies Jake and Drew and Eric really encouraged me to make a show out of it. And now Archibald, this little chicken who's pretty much become my role model, he sees everything like it's a big thing. He sees the best in people, the best in situations. He gets discouraged, but when life does this, he has a plan, but then life always does this, which, by the way, we're all experiencing right now. He looks at it and he's like, you know what? All right, let's just take one step in front of the next and just keep going. And man, I wish I could be like that. It's like, I just love everything that Archibald represents. And he's kind. And so I've just had, this
is why I love your show so much. And we have to talk about it a little bit. I just love that you just made a show about that. And it's so important, especially I think for young people, to have this character that they see who is being present, and it isn't always focused on getting like the next big thing or the next shiniest thing.
Sure.
And in a way, I feel like you're broaching a lot of topics about, mental health and being present. And I love that, but I just love that it's such a positive influence on kids, especially with all of the kindness in it.
Well, thanks. That's really nice to hear. I mean, I myself have struggled with anxiety for most of my life. And it's very, very easy, especially, and also I think I talk about this so much because I struggle with it. It's not something I'm over. It's something I deal with daily. And even in, this environment, it's very easy to live in the what if, like, what if this happens? What if this happens? And just to kind of remind myself, you know what, I'm just going to, this therapist I was working with for years encouraged me, like, whenever you find yourself in the what if, you say not now out loud. And one way to do that is you kind of activate the five senses. So it's like, what am I smelling? What am I seeing? Touch my shirt, I'm going to ground myself. And just stuff like that, because I think for most of my life, I've been checked out somewhere else. And again, not that dreaming is wrong at all. And not that ambition is wrong at all. But I think I just lived there. And I think a lot of it was to kind of escape, wherever I was, rather than that balance of dreaming is great, but really look around you and just try to wake yourself up to where you are, which, by the way, I suck at. This is why this is a daily practice for me, but I have to always remind myself.
I really appreciate you talking about that. One, I feel like people don't talk about it as openly. I could just sit here and listen to you talk. Because I think you sharing that.
I'm a mess. I'm a work in progress.
We all are. But I feel like people don't talk about it enough. And I really do appreciate you saying that out loud, because I'm sure people who are watching right now are feeling the exact same way, especially with
sure.
we're in. But how many of us feel trapped in that loop in our heads? And then how many of us feel broken because we feel that way, right? Because we've been made to feel that we're broken because it's not all together all the time.
It's not, and it's so easy, me included, to kind of get into that shame cycle of like, oh God, why am I doing this? Why am I thinking this way? It's like everybody's in the same boat. And another thing, have you ever heard of cognitive behavioral therapy? I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's like a lot of it is where you kind of, I think for a lot of my life, I felt like I was kind of a victim to thoughts and emotions where I was like, I'm drowning in these things, rather than like having times where it's like, oh yeah, there's that thought that this is never going to end. There's that emotion that I'm kind of feeling a little freaked out right now.
Yeah.
Rather than so much identifying with it, just kind of acknowledging it. Like, yeah, oh yeah, there's that thought that this is never going to end. There's that emotion that I'm kind of freaking out. And then you just kind of watch them like cars on a highway, where it's like, oh yeah, there's that. And I think for me, I become, rather than sitting in shame, I become more of an observer of those thoughts and feelings rather than those are who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to practice that a lot during this season.
Tony, I really appreciate that. I think that's a really good reminder for many people who are watching, because I think, especially right now, people are spending so much time on social media. And consuming other people's opinions of them and watching, or just watching other people tear one another apart.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just worry, like, not everyone is ready to go into that space, right? Mm-hmm. It's like waking up in the morning and like opening the gym doors and there's thousands of people in the gym yelling at one another. And like, well, this is what I'm going to do. Rather than like turn around and walk away from the gym, right? Like, I'm just going to walk through the gym with everybody yelling at me, yelling at one another. Remember, like, you can just put headphones on if you want, or you can just acknowledge it, right? Like, oh, there's so-and-so apart or canceling so-and-so on something.
Yeah.
How unfortunate is that for them?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it's also, I love that you said that, because I think even though social media obviously has done wonderful things, you're looking, I mean, as I'm sure you've said before, it's a highlight reel. It's a highlight reel of everybody's best foot forward going out. You know, no behind the scenes. We're all behind the scenes trying to figure this out. We're all looking around going, what the hell? What the hell's going on? It might look like everybody, as you said, in the gym is kind of doing their thing and putting whatever, but it's like, there's a whole story behind the scenes that nobody knows about. Everybody is suffering in some way. Absolutely. And that's where, you know, empathy comes in, which is something our current, you know, as you mentioned before, our current political climate is not good at. And what our society needs a lot more of is empathy, seeing the pain in each other, seeing the different stories in each other, appreciating those stories. I mean, there's a whole, anyways, that's when I get on my soapbox.
You can be on your soapbox all day. I'm great. I don't have to take the roast out of the crock pot until 6, so we can just.
How long do you keep it for? 5? How many hours do you keep it in?
It's about 8 hours.
God, don't you love that? Yeah. I mean, I've only done it like twice, but just turning it on and then like, I'll get it when it's done.
My friend sent me this recipe. It's super simple. I'll send it to you afterwards.
Please.
I love the fall for that reason. I feel like it's super crock pot, whether you just throw everything in and you're like, I'll come back to you at dinner time. That's great.
Yeah. Is there just one more question about that? Do you put, is it something you put the chicken and then vegetables and then do you add like a broth, or do you, how does that, or is it just the juices of the chicken kind of take over?
It's a roast. It's like a bottom round roast with peppers and butter. Ooh. I just like crusted it in the cast iron skillet and then just put it in there with something.
See? Now that's a skill. That's a skill. That's a skill that I need to be reminded of, because I'll be like, yeah, just throw it in the crock pot. It's great. But it's those people that are like, no, you gotta skillet it to get the crust and then you get the crunch. Because then I taste mine and I'm like, why does this taste rubbery? You know, it's like, I forgot that step.
Well, I'm excited to try it, but I don't, you know, I did it in my pajamas, just crust it, throw it in the pot. I did smoke up the kitchen a bit, but who cares? It
smells great.
Nobody's coming over. I also love that we were very focused on talking about anxiety and mental health, and then we just like saw something over here in cooking and went to it. I love it.
Yeah, that shows you what my attention span's like. Zook. Wait, yeah. That's right. Zook.
I'm in the exact same boat with you. So we know about Archibald's next big thing. What is Tony's next big thing?
That's very nice to ask. Who knows? Who knows when that'll happen? But I'm really excited because I'm speaking of empathy. There's this show called, there's this book by Trent Stewart called The Mysterious Benedict Society. And it's about this wealthy benefactor who sends these kids on these missions into this kind of institute because this, to shorten it, this institute kind of puts out all these negative messages to the world. And he's trying to stop that. And so it really is a show about kindness and empathy. And so I'm fortunately going to play Benedict.
Oh, wow.
And then I'm kind of like sending, and there are these beautiful books, and it's for Hulu. And we were supposed to start shooting this spring, and then this happened. So hopefully, whenever this kind of comes to a close, we'll start again. Yeah. But it's just a really, I'm so excited because I love what Benedict represents. And I also at the same time get to play Benedict's twin brother, who's kind of the antagonist.
Oh,
his name is Curtin. So I get to a little bit of that kind of Jekyll and Hyde stuff, which is really fun.
Oh, very cool. I'm going to have to look this up. This sounds really cool.
I'm really excited about it, and nervous at the same time.
Well, I was talking to a friend yesterday. I announced my book yesterday, and I said I'm
congratulations.
Terrified. Oh, thank you. Thanks.
It comes out on September 1st, right? Did I read that right?
Yes. Yeah. And I told my friend I'm absolutely terrified.
Of course.
And they were like, well, if you weren't terrified, then it wouldn't mean anything.
Yes.
Which is, I love that advice.
Yes. It's incredibly vulnerable of you to put out a book like that. And you listen to Brene Brown ever?
Oh my God. I used to watch her repeatedly, especially her Netflix specials on the campaign trail. Just like a breath of fresh air. I just have a Brene hour.
I know. She would talk about that kind of vulnerability hangover after you kind of have, whether she would speak somewhere or, even you doing this, just, you kind of put yourself out there writing a book and kind of allowing yourself like, all right, well, this is that hangover stage where I feel kind of like depleted emotionally a little bit.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, on the trail, we called it vulnerability fatigue. And, by the end of the day, you're spent, you're empty.
Yeah. Did you guys have any go-to desserts that you were like, you know what, we gotta eat this because this is like, mine's always a McFlurry at the McDonald's.
You can get Dairy Queen delivered now.
Come on.
Not that I have.
What? I'm feeling like you have. That's weird.
Peter and I spent most of our time apart on the campaign trail. So I was out campaigning on my own. And I think I was much more likely to demand dessert at the end of the day. We'd be driving to the hotel and he'd be like, I see that there's a McDonald's at the next exit. If anyone wants, I would never.
I mean, not me.
I don't. But if anyone else does,
buy you one.
I specifically remember one night it was brutal. Like multiple states, flew in, did another late night event, got to the hotel, and then like the moment the team like dropped me off at my hotel room, like, all right, we'll see you in the morning, 6 a.m. sharp. Like, okay, great, good night. And then they left, and then I walked across the street to the gas station and got a pint of Ben & Jerry's and a bottle of wine. And when I came back in the hotel, like my team was there. It was just like caught red-handed, like, oh.
First of all, why were they in the lobby? Why weren't they asleep?
I believe they were waiting. If Emily's still here watching, I believe she was waiting for Uber Eats. So.
Okay.
To each his own.
Yeah, that Dairy Queen where they turn that upside down and it doesn't move. Come on, guys. Come on. Just immediate joy.
I love it so much. One time, Pete and I went to a Dairy Queen, and the kid brought the ice cream to me.
Yeah.
And he just looked at me and he goes, "Please don't make me do it."
And you're like, "You're denying me joy."
I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Please don't make. I can't do it." And it was just like soup. Like there was no way.
Oh, poor thing. Oh.
I was like, "Yeah, I'll just take it." Although I feel like, no one needs to be a Karen in that moment. So.
Oh, poor thing.
Well, I'm going to send you a recipe. I'm excited to check out this story, and I hope we get to chat again soon. Thanks.
I know.
Thanks
Call
for
anytime, man. I'm loving this Insta Live. I do realize. I tell you, I will say, Zoom and Insta Live. I walk away feeling like a narcissist because all I can do, I'll go between looking at you and then I'm staring at myself. I'm like, just like looking at myself.
Is someone else here? Oh,
yeah, like, Okay, that's a lot of gray. What's going on?
It is kind of hard when I do sort of feel that like narcissism pull. Like, I loved pulling the curtain back on the campaign. Like, this is what we're doing. You know, this is who we are. I don't want anyone to believe we're, you know, anything in ourselves. But it's also very demanding. And then I feel like nobody wants to watch me cook, you know? And I did it for a while, and then everyone was like, why aren't you doing cooking videos anymore? Like, I thought it was weird that it's just like, look at me.
Yeah, I know. Here's the thing. I'd rather that than somebody's like, you know what? Everybody wants to see this. Everybody wants to watch me cook. You know, it's like, I'd rather that attitude than like, who wants to watch me to put on my shoes? You do. You know? Please go live next time you put on your shoes and make it like a 10-minute process. Well, like my kitchen's dirty, and it's, you know, like like everybody else. It's not like I have a beautiful set. You're like, you know, I'm not Ina Garten. I can't just. Let me tell you, right? Ina Garten's got to have a team. She's got to have a team that's like putting all that together. Even though I love me some Ina Garten. Her recipes are incredible. Did you see her giant Cosmo video where she just made like the giant Cosmopolitan? No. Oh my God. I'm gonna send that to you. Please. I'm excited. I've got a crock pot. I'm gonna make your roast. You got it. Cosmopolitans and a roast. Yeah. That'll be my cookbook. There you go. With 2 recipes inside. Yeah. There you go. Oh man, it's so good catching up with you. So good. All right, so let's do this again. Sure. This was fun. I like that you're late. I like you have candles in the back too. It's very soothing looking. Yeah, I put out a call for candles. If you need a good candle, there's a post on my timeline where people like suggested these small businesses. Ooh. I ordered from like 10 businesses or so. Nice. Like every day, like a new UPS package, and Peter's like, maybe slow down, you know. But they're so good. All of a sudden, it just turns into like a cult sanctuary. There's candles. Yes. I've just been spending every day, like, you know, 12 hours a day up here writing, so I'm going through candles like crazy. Oh, I love that. All right. Well, please be safe. Take care of yourself. You too, my friend. Tell Pete I said hello. I will. You guys are amazing. Amazing, amazing. You're amazing. Have a good one. You too, man. I guess, do I just push the X? Yeah. You want me to push you out? I can just push you out of there. All right. Great. Bye, brother. Tony Hale. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for a fun conversation. I also really appreciated everything Tony had to say about mental health. I hope you're taking care of yourself. You're taking those deep breaths and just reminding yourself to take it easy. You know, that's just enough. I've been thinking about that a lot, how much pressure people are putting on themselves to just get it right, be perfect, whether you're a parent trying to homeschool a kid, or whether you're working from home and the work timelines are starting to blur with your personal life. Please take it easy on yourself. If you need help, don't be afraid to reach out. I love that my friends are checking in with one another and being honest with one another, just saying like this, you know, this can suck sometimes and things can be hard and that's okay. And make sure you're spending time with people. That's why I love having folks like Tony on to teach us something, but also to spread some laughs. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. We'll have comedian Cameron Esposito on, but until then, take care of yourselves. Be well.